Welcome back to the Grindhouse Podcast. I am your host, Cheese Film, and today's film is The Black Scorpion.
I thought you forgot. No. When you looked over, like you were looking for it.
Well, I actually thought you were going to say it with me there because that would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been. Darn it.
Yeah, The Black Scorpion was released in 1957.
Directed by Edward Ludwig.
It stars, nobody
Richard
I knew.
Denning.
I didn't recognize a single person in this.
Rivas. Yes, and Mara Corday. They're the main people.
Yeah,
because the kid's name was on there and some of the other people, but those were the main people.
So this movie actually was a request to us, and if you would like to submit a request, you can go to www.thegrindhousepodcast.com. There is a tab there that says request. Click on that and you can shoot us a request.
And we'll do it.
And we will do it because we love watching movies. Like this one here. I thought this movie was going to be absolute garbage. And
well, the person who recommended it went to a website that said bad movies.
Yeah.
And picked the first one that she found.
And I don't know, this might not be a shocker because if you are a fan of the podcast, you know that I don't really say a lot of negatives about these movies that aren't all A grade, but I did end up liking this movie a lot.
Yeah,
I thought this was a lot of fun.
It was. And excuse me, it's got a 67 critic review on Rotten Tomatoes and a 34
audience score.
And it was on the Vudu or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they only had like 4 of them, and everything everybody said about them was exactly right. Because the only negative was really there is nothing new to see here, really.
Yeah.
And it's B-movie schlock, drive-in movie stuff, and it was very entertaining.
It was very entertaining, and watching this movie because it's a Warner Brothers movie.
Yeah. I forgot to tell her that.
It's a Warner Brothers. It feels like if you were going to go watch regular show, right? And they have the guys' night where they put in an old B movie and they eat pizza. This is that movie they're watching. Yeah. This is the exact movie that they're watching. Because it's not as good as like Godzilla is, but it's still a creature feature enough to warrant its own fun adventure with your friends. It's a drive-in movie.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. It would be a double feature.
Yep.
This would probably be the first one.
And it's weird in a way because movies like this are often parodied now as like just garbage movies, dudes in suits or stuff like that. And being a movie that was trying to capitalize on the success of Godzilla and Mothra, like Gorgo was, it kind of stands out its own way, and I'm going to give it to the practical effects for standing out in its own way.
Yeah.
And
you should.
The clay work in this, because they do that. They have the good close-ups of the...
Okay, don't say good close-ups.
Well, yeah, they're not good.
The scorpion has a face.
It's got a, humanoid face.
It's got eyes. It looks like it has thyroid eye disease. And it's popping out, drool coming out all the time.
Constantly drooling.
Yeah.
I was thinking of...
I think it's the same shot over and over again.
Yeah, like the same 3, because you got the one where he's just opening his mouth, the one with the claw in front, and the one where it's pushing in.
And... there's a whole army of giant scorpions, and then one really big one that kills the other ones. They all have. It's all the same.
It's the same stuff, yeah. Because I was thinking about that too. Because we just did The Fly. We just rewatched The Fly, and we talked about The Fly and how he's kind of drippy and gross. And this bug is also drippy and gross too. Drippy. I think that's kind of funny of the time. It is. Being a connector there. But yeah, they're not great close-ups. They're good close-ups in the fact that you get to see the creature itself. Like they're not hiding it. There's not any they're not in shadows or anything like that. It's
right out in front. It's great for that.
And I love Jaws. I think Jaws is a great movie. but Jaws does the less is more thing, and that works for a lot of things. But
it totally does.
If you've got a bad monster in your movie, just run with it. Just let me see it.
Yeah.
And because it helps my enjoyment. Like if I can see the creature and you've got a spotlight, because it's never gonna look great. You got a giant scorpion. You molded it. You know what it's gonna look like. Just go with it. I mean, the movie's about a giant scorpion. Like we're not expecting
scorpions.
Yeah, we're not expecting anything other than that. You know, like, so just don't hide it. And this movie doesn't. And the claymation in this is great.
Stop motion.
Well, they used.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's not really. Yeah, it's stop motion claymation. It's Harryhausen. It's
actually Willis O'Brien who did King Kong.
And
Pete Peterson. The story is Willis O'Brien or Brian. The letters are wacky, so I don't know if I'm right. Anyway, he was the supervisor, and then Pete did everything. It's all that guy's stuff, and he did like the Behemoth. He did Mighty Joe Young. I looked these up, and
it's like the Behemoth from 20,000 Phantoms or
something like that.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's superb.
And I was looking for a moment to pick on it.
Yeah.
But they look like great scorpions. They move like scorpions.
They totally did. And the trapdoor spider.
Yeah.
Also, when they were descending down into a giant cave, that's all stop motion too, with two little men.
And when they're on the...
And when the scorpions are attacking the train.
People, yeah.
And grabbing them out. Yeah, you see them grabbing people. And they look really good. Really good.
There was a moment where I was like, is that real, or did they just kind of put a picture in front of there too? No, but no, they made a little clay guy.
Yeah, a little clay guy.
And moved the clay. He's moving, you know?
It really, it's...
I bring up Ray Harryhausen because he's kind of the goat of this kind of animation.
Oh, goat, right.
Yeah. So if I say that not because I didn't know. Well, I didn't pay attention to who did it. I knew it wasn't him.
Right.
But these are as good as he was doing.
Absolutely. I think Pete might have worked with Harryhausen on a couple of things. I didn't bring my notes, but it's that good. There's nobody is fighting skeletons. It's not that cool, but all the stop motion stuff is just excellent.
The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman came out around this time too.
Yeah.
And they use rotoscope technology to put her in places like this, and then giant puppet hands and stuff. And that looks bad.
Yeah, it does.
And that was a kind of like one of their primetime sci-fi movies at the time. This is kind of a back burner, just something to put out.
It's literally a B movie. These actors, Richard Denning, Carlos, and Mara, were all on Warner Brothers B list. They only made B movies.
B movies.
Which were, like you had Humphrey Bogart or James Cagney or whoever. They're stars. And then they would play another feature because paying a nickel to go see one movie, that's kind of a ripoff.
Yeah.
So you get two movies, and the B movie was played by these kind of people. But they all did an excellent job.
They were. And I was thinking about this when I was watching this. This movie... It feels like it could have inspired like certain Indiana Jones aspects and certain Jurassic Park aspects, which is kind of funny because it took inspiration from these types of movies like Mothra and like Godzilla. But there's like the whole finding the scorpion and the obsidian, like the mosquito and amber.
Yep. I wonder if he got that from that.
I was thinking that.
He watched these kinds of movies.
Yeah. Both Steven Spielberg and Michael Crichton.
Yeah, right.
Because Crichton loves doing these. I love the way he writes, but like there's this book called Micro where people go into the world, and it's Jurassic Park in your backyard.
So like, is Matt Damon in it?
He never made a movie out of it.
Okay.
There was gonna be made into a movie, but it's been in development hell forever.
No, Michael Crichton makes a good movie. He did Westworld too.
He did Westworld
and the Andromeda Strain, 2 very good sci-fi movies.
So watching a movie like this or like Tarantula, they obviously would have had an impact on him because he likes writing stuff like this. And Lord Almighty, this movie, like you can, it's weird because it's broken up, I would say, into 2 parts. You've got the first 30 minutes of
the intro. They introduce the characters.
Yeah, and
everything moves right along. Good clip.
Yeah, and it's just right there. You get to meet the characters. You get to meet the world. They're not taking their time. There is no danger yet, other than a volcano.
Right,
a couple of volcanoes
and earthquakes, but the characters stumble upon things.
Yeah, as the story goes,
stuff, like that cop car that was ripped up.
It was destroyed.
One thing that B-movie people do, and this is in what's his name? Ed Wood guys did this too. Like the guy Hank Scott, played by Richard Denning. He's got a gun out the whole time because they don't know what's going on. They're like, "Where's all the people?" You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
And then they hear a noise as a rattle, and they think it's a rattlesnake. So they're looking around for it, and it's a baby in a little crib with a rattle. But he's pointing the gun at the baby. He's like, "Look at that. That's the worst kind of danger there is." And he's pointing the gun right at the baby. And they do that kind of stuff.
I thought that was such an interesting, because you've got the movie called The Black Scorpion. You see the damage of something came here. They then find just an abandoned gas station with that wrecked car, and then they're hearing this thing. We're thinking that the Scorpion's gonna, whatever just did this is still here.
Right.
And then you find the baby. They put the baby in the front seat just laying there.
And then go leave it there.
To go find... They find the sheriff guy.
Yeah.
And something happened to him, too. They say he had a wound, but there was no blood.
No, there's no blood.
Good tension building. Ironically, this movie's got a lot of good stuff going for it for being on a list of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah, it really does. I think the reason it's on there, there's nothing special about it.
No.
Story-wise or anything. Everybody's seen all of this stuff before. And I think that was the only reason. Because the pacing, Edward Ludwig's direction is good. Mm-hmm. And the acting's good. They kind of rush a lot of stuff. Like, there's no reason why they were so in love.
Yeah, all of a sudden, they just met each other yesterday. This movie spans 2 to 3 days.
Yeah. Here's one thing I thought was pretty funny. Excuse me. They're going to a little village out. It's near Mexico City, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. And it's just a little village. And they show buildings, a couple of them, that are 18th century kind of buildings. It's a rural place.
Yeah.
And a guy comes there. He's the head of the university or whatever, and he's like, take me to your lab. This town isn't going to have a lab. They go into a lab, it's got all modern stuff in it. There's some
That's
stuff
where all their funding went.
But it's great. And I don't know if anybody else would have even noticed that, but I'm like, why? What lab?
I didn't notice that. Because it is a poor destination. There's a whole bunch of people gathered around the church.
They're farmers. Yeah, the church is the main thing of the town.
He's kind of they'd say, bring me to your mayor, and they bring him to the father. So it's obviously everybody knows each other here. It's a very small rural town.
Right.
Take me. You pointed that out to me. It's why would they have a whole scientific lab?
Right.
What is that? So there's little things like that are kind of funny. Like when they go back to that lady's house and they're doing something with the dog. And he's like, hey, you're going to want to come see this.
Oh, my God, and that kid. Yeah, go ahead.
And you could have brought it over there to them, A, first off. B, you show it. It's a very two-dimensional scorpion. And he perfectly cracks it open on the first or second try, and it just splits right down the middle, and it pops out.
Yeah.
There's little things like that are just you just suspend your disbelief.
Yeah, that's
and you have a good time.
That is. And the whole trope of the kid's gonna not listen and get into danger.
Oh my good Lord!
It's a little too much.
It doesn't stop.
all right, just stay here and take care of your grandma. That's what a real man would do. The kid doesn't listen. He's 7.5 years old.
Yeah.
Gets in a stowaway on their... I don't even know what the hell they were hauling around.
They never show us.
No,
the only time they go back there is to get the kid out.
Yeah.
They go to get something, and the kid's there, and he pops out, and then they just leave. Whatever he was going to get in there, he didn't get
it.
I was
But
thinking
then the
that.
kid stows away again, and it's just too much. I'm like, just let the scorpions get him. Man.
Yeah.
It's too much of a pain in the ass.
But I thought, in bringing this back, because I said it would be kind of a cool idea for like a Indiana Jones movie. And have that kid, like, this is where he met Short Round, even. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like, just an adventure like this where there's a giant bug. I would love to see stuff like that, because I know Indiana Jones really does a lot of, like, historical, archaeological digs, finds, stuff
Except
like
for the
that.
new one.
Where he goes back in time.
Well, that's not a real thing. Like, the Ark of the Covenant's a real thing.
Yeah.
The Holy Grail's a real thing. The Thuggee cult was a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not even...
Was
it's
it not?
based on the Antikytherian device, but it's not what it really was. That's not a real thing.
Okay.
There's nothing real about it's a totally made up. And the ones that are the real myths, they're the best ones.
I like him a lot,
Yeah.
I didn't hate the new one. I thought the
I
new
didn't
one was a
hate it
lot of
either.
fun, too. It's just as good as Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was. Nothing's
I
going to
forgot
beat...
about that. Yeah, the Crystal Skull's a real thing, too.
Yeah. Nothing's going to beat Raiders of the Lost Ark for me. I think
Nothing.
that's the best one.
It is.
And then I like them in order from there.
I like 1, 3, 2.
Oh, yeah? You know?
1, 3, 2, 4, 5.
Really?
Yeah, that's the luggage. But that is my order of them. 1, 3, 2. Because I love Sean Connery as his dad.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It was a great idea.
And he's really cool.
He really is.
And
Sean Connery?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
And to be Indiana Jones' dad, I think, is awesome.
It was. It was great.
There's a part in The Last Crusade, like, you don't see his face, but you hear his voice as he's drawing in his diary.
Yeah.
That alone is selling it.
It was. And he's like, count to 10
Yeah.
in Greek.
But
Yeah, that, and, well, it's probably at the time because Indiana Jones was all that, his look
yeah.
is for the serials of that time.
Right.
And the Dr. Scott in this, he's got a hat, and when he goes outside, he's either got a tuxedo, a suit, or outdoor quote unquote
Right.
clothes. And he's kind of Indy Jones.
He is a little bit, and which is funny because Indiana Jones, his personality was supposed to kind of be more of Humphrey Bogart from, I think, The African Queen is the one they mainly based it on. I could be wrong on that.
I don't know.
But I know Humphrey Bogart
It's only
was
the really adventure-y one that he did, as far as I know. Everything else is like crime.
crime and film noirs and yeah. But so it's fun to see a movie kind of like this where you can input Indiana Jones into this too.
Sure.
I would like to, and I say this all the time, but I would like to see these kind of concepts adapted today with Indiana Jones. Like, make a little Disney Plus series, an episodic show, not some 6-part movie. Make an episodic show.
An old-style TV show.
Yeah, where you've got your character. He fights the giant scorpion in this one. He fights a giant tarantula in that one.
Right.
Or he goes in... Because these ideas in these movies, while they... I wouldn't say this has aged poorly, but like they've definitely improved on all this stuff.
They have, and just their understanding of stuff, too, because... who cares if there's an earthquake in a volcano?
Yeah.
There's not going to be giant scorpions.
Look at the hollow earth down there.
Yeah, right.
But like it's a cool, neat concept. You can tie it all, like the journey to the center of the earth is a whole thing. You can tie that into a lot of these old monster movies if you wanted, because everybody loves making the shared universe stuff. If you wanted to do it and make it feel unique and original, do it like that.
Yeah.
Just do it like that. Have your one big one, your journey to the center of the earth, and then have all these different creatures spawn from there, and remake the black scorpion, remake tarantula, remake the wasp woman.
Right, like, because, like those Sharknado movies,
Sharknado.
they were big hits on TV and stuff like that. People enjoy this kind of stupid stuff. It's just escapism.
The Meg is a movie
Meg,
I don't
perfect.
think should have ever done good. On its opening weekend did $250 million.
Yeah, I really love that movie. Not love, but that was a good time. And so I think the second one is too. And they just doubled down on the stupidness. And that's what a lot of people were complaining about. Because that giant octopus and stuff, it was... It's stupid, good, stupid fun.
Not every movie has to be the next Beatles of movies.
Right, yeah.
They don't always have to be the Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
They could just be a fun movie.
Yeah.
That's probably why I like this so much, is because it's just a fun movie.
And those kind of movies, they do really well.
They do.
Nowadays.
And this isn't an they definitely didn't throw their biggest budget onto this.
No, it's B.
It's
Everything
a B
was
movie.
B.
A buddy of mine and I talk about how every movie today is trying to be the blockbuster.
Yeah, everyone has got to make $1 billion.
Has to. This movie, and that's why like love it or hate it, but like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is the exact model that works. Like Jason Blum knows what he's doing. He made a movie for less than $100 million, and it made a lot of money.
Right.
So you do that. You make these B movies throughout the year, and then you have your blockbuster, one or two of them. That's all you should be doing. It works for a reason. I'm not saying we should go back to how things were in the 50s, because the studio system was horrible.
Right.
But the model of not every movie has to be the big movie of that month is a great idea.
Yeah. But
that works.
Willy's Wonderland is far better than Five Nights at Freddy's.
Willy's Wonderland.
I didn't bother watching Five Nights at Freddy's because I had already seen Willy's Wonderland, and it's not going to be better than that.
No,
did you see Willy's Wonderland?
I've seen enough of it to.
It's great. It's great.
The only reason why I would watch Willy's Wonderland through is if I was watching the Banana Splits, and then Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah,
I'm not really into those kind of movies. But they're B movies. They're movies. They didn't cost a lot, and they put them out, and there you go.
That one's got Nicolas Cage in it.
It does. That's probably the most of your money went, because they're people in costumes.
Yeah. And not even most of the time.
Yeah. But this one, the Black Scorpion, there's not a lot of costume work in it. So
yeah, it's all just regular clothes.
And you repeat. A lot of what the Scorpion does, it's a lot of time and a lot of expense.
Yeah.
To animate with stop motion,
and they used it over and over again.
Over and over again.
Did you notice too the big black scorpion, that when they would show it, people fleeing from the giant scorpion, and it's like just a black thing. It's not the stop motion. It's
it's like all darked out.
It's just a black shadow looking thing, and you can see through it.
Yeah,
because they didn't print all the elements.
Right.
That's not good, and it doesn't line up so good. That's really the only critique I have. That and how stupid that close up of the face looks. Those are bad. But like the train scene.
Oh, I love that train.
I did too. When then the train, they didn't use like stock footage of. The beginning is all stock footage. Yeah. They didn't use stock footage of a train going down a track. They animated the train. It was very consistent. And then the scorpions derail the train and then start eating the people
immediately.
And it's great.
And see, and this is why I thought that this would have had an impact on Michael Crichton and Spielberg, because they're not monsters. They're bugs, and they act like bugs.
Yeah, that's it. They need to eat their weight every 3 days.
And they come out. Well, how is a scorpion hunt? They ambush. They overpower. They stab it, and they start eating the guts. That's exactly what it did. And there wasn't like, I mean, it did roar and it did do all that kind of snarl stuff.
They don't roar,
but it wasn't like attacking the town to just cause havoc. It was hunting. There was a method to it, which ironically made the giant scorpion feel more real.
Yeah.
When you base it in actual reality and science, it works really well. This is a great example. Like, I would show this in a film class to be like, well, this is how you should do. Because I don't know if you've seen Gorgo. It's god awful. It's unwatchable. Okay. But like all that thing is doing, it's rampaging on the city just to get its kid back, like a reptile would do. Like how in Jurassic Park, The Lost World, the T-Rex is rampaging LA just to try to find its baby.
Yeah.
So if you tie it back into reality, a B movie like this can be enhanced just by that simple thing. Just
Right.
keep it simple.
Have rules in your universe
And obey
then
them.
follow them. Yeah, that's it.
Like it didn't automatically just start like spewing venom out of its stinger and melting people. That would have been a very easy scapegoat to do.
Yep.
And it didn't. It uses it to kill the other scorpions.
Right.
Like it's very real. It's very tangible. It's
And,
relatable.
It works in the story too because they keep shooting guns at them. Then of course the bullets are bouncing off.
Because it's got
And
an
that's how he
exoskeleton.
sees where their weak spot is.
Yeah, which I find, because this is taking place in Mexico, where scorpions are abundant. I feel like these people should probably know the weak side of a scorpion is going to be the underbelly, and not one person was like, "Hey."
Another thing about that too, some of these people don't even pretend they have a Mexican accent,
They do not.
and nobody speaks Spanish except I think somebody who says one word in Spanish, but like all the words are in Spanish, like on the side of the trucks
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. That's kind of lazy, but
I was kind of wondering where they filmed this, because I don't think they filmed it in Mexico. I think they probably just filmed it out in the
yeah,
desert,
probably.
because everything was in California at the time. So they probably went out to like a desert in California.
right, anywhere.
I mean, it's also right there next to Mexico, so they probably could have gone there. It just doesn't look like Mexico
it
to
says
me.
it's a Mexican American movie, so they might have filmed it in Mexico.
Well, they might have. It just doesn't look too Mexico to me.
It doesn't. It's really nondescript.
Maybe
Oh, that's
maybe because it's not all in sepia. That's why it doesn't look like Mexico.
But like how you could really tell this too. I think, even though the timing of it was pretty good, there was a buttload of rear projection stuff.
Yeah.
The volcano
oh my
was
God.
all rear projection. When
I don't think the volcano looks so bad, though.
oh, it doesn't look bad.
But when they're
Sometimes it
driving-
moves. When they're driving, they just look like they're driving around in a circle. And they're with the wheel, just turning the wheel all willy nilly, and the background is just like a real tight circle too, like they're doing donuts. It's terrible. But also like when the
It's
kid sees the
distracting.
trapdoor spider,
Yeah.
and he lifts that rock up, it's what it's supposed to look like.
Uh-huh.
That was rear projection. You could really see the set, and then
The back.
the thing like is filmed in the void.
Right.
But because I noticed that, and then I'm purposely looking at it, and it was really good.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. So it's so funny that this was suggested to us because it's one of the worst movies ever.
Right.
And it's
not.
really good. And
not.
all like the movie
It's got a tomato on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not that.
it's not even rotten.
thing. Yeah.
The movie's strongest suits are its practical effects.
Yeah. Totally.
They spare no expense when it comes to the practical effects. They hold no they pull no punches. They really went for it.
Yeah, they did.
And the movie's really I'm gonna buy it. That's how much I enjoyed this movie. Like, I'm going to buy it. Because the effect, because I think they're just that good. Like, you can pair this with Godzilla or even Jurassic Park. Like,
Well,
have your own little double feature.
These effects are better than Godzilla, the original Godzilla.
Yeah, I would. Well, technology had come a
Right.
little bit with that. It's not a small city and a man in a suit.
No,
It's just
it's little tiny things that they get blown up looking.
right. But yeah, I mean, all the acting's great. I didn't buy.
They're serious actors.
Yeah,
Man, I
everybody's
can't
bringing
think
their
of what
A
these are.
game.
Some of them were in other things later on too. That man, now I can't remember what they were.
They're familiar, but I don't recognize any of them.
Well, they're kind of generic looking.
They are. They're all. They're all copy paste people.
Yeah, really.
There's a couple things I wanted to point out. One being, not a thing in this movie had a window. There was no glass in the front of the car.
Oh, yeah,
I was like,
You're right. They're
and he grabs right through the thing at one point, and then I just couldn't stop seeing that. And then they go to the lady's house, and he's leaning up against the door. There's no glass on any of that pane.
Yep.
There's
Now
like
that
no
you mention it, I
glass
did notice that.
anywhere. And I think because they had a lot of studio lights that
Just
would
run the
reflect.
glare, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't help with any rear projection stuff too.
Yeah, probably not.
Screw it up.
And a lot of this was actually filmed outdoors. They did film a lot of this outside. And again, once you learn this, a lot of day for night. And once you learn that, you can't not see it. Because
it's in black and white, so it works a lot better.
Right,
but it's day for night.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about Witchfinder General, and he walks this path and supposedly night. He's like, yeah, it was such a good nighttime shot. You really felt like it was dark. And I was like, it didn't. Like, he's like, how can you tell? And I was like, well, the shadows are shadows. They're not moonlit shadows.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I just thought that was moonlight. And no, you just underexpose it just enough to where it looks darker and you can get away with it. But man, once you can tell and you know the signs, you can just tell. Like, it's no way your hat covers this much of you and you're still squinting when you look up.
I think the worst one I've seen is Orgy of the Dead. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It's an Ed Wood movie. And a car is driving down. It's like a deserted desert road. And inside the car, it's pitch black, dark out. And they got the lights on. They turn the lights on. And they do it in the Black Scorpion too. But usually they put a filter over the lens. I think they just shaded the lens. It's obviously in the middle of the day. And then when they cut to the people talking in the car, it's black as night. It was terrible. Here, let me tell you something real quick.
Yeah, tell me something real quick.
Earlier, Paul Sawtell, who did the music for this, which is very good. The music is appropriate for all the scenes, and it was really well done music. He did The Fly and Return of the Fly and The Lost World. And we just did The Fly.
Yeah, right.
Remake, but
we're talking about Michael Crichton.
That guy did a ton. All of these people, if you go on Wikipedia or IMDb, they have huge resumes. They've done a ton of stuff, and I hadn't heard of most of it, like 99% of it, because it's so old.
Right.
This is from 1957. That's almost 100 years now. 70 something. But yeah, I was looking forward to being like hating this movie. Basically, I was gonna love hating it. Right. And it was a good movie.
Yeah, I was definitely going in thinking that this was gonna be I don't want to say just a pile of garbage, but I was expecting a pile of garbage.
Yeah. It is not.
And it's not. And it works. And I think that overall that it really does work. Let me grab that real quick.
What is it?
It's my computer dinging.
Oh, that can't be good.
You can keep talking.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of something I was going to say. The train part with that was great. Oh my God, the end. Where they have a plan to tase the scorpion and all that junk, but
that guy gets electrocuted.
But they're battling the Mexican army, the last giant scorpion, because the one big one kills all the other ones, and that whole battle, that climactic battle, is really good. And again, it's not. They did superimpose explosions over everything, but the tanks and stuff were stop motion tanks and everything, and it worked really, really, really well. Everything with the big scorpions was great.
Was done really well. Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say everything, because the face. And
the wide shots of the scorpion were done really, really well.
Yeah, all that stop motion stuff was expertly done. I recommend this movie. Definitely.
I would too. I would definitely recommend this movie, and I would recommend it like on a Friday night with some pizza and your friends. Get your favorite kind of beverage and just enjoy it, because there's not a lot here that's god awful. It's a good fun time.
No, and the pacing is very well. It's an hour and a half long. It doesn't even feel like it.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I mentioned earlier, that people were said it was bad because it's basically the same thing over and over again from other movies, but
Right.
they don't make them like this anymore. So if you want something different, this is definitely a way to go.
This is the way to go. This is a good way to go. But yeah, so check it out. We streamed it on Vudu. It's on I think Apple too. Anywhere
It's on
you can
Amazon,
stream.
too. Yeah, you can rent it for like $3 or $4.
Yeah, $3. It's really worth it. I would say. I would give it a
Good for kids too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, like I was thinking that too. Like this is a good
perfect for kids because with those close-ups of with the
yeah.
ripping out of its mouth, kids would really go for that.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But yeah, I would suggest it. I give it a 7 out of 10.
I ain't gonna give it a number, but it's definitely a thumbs up.
Yeah. If you like the podcast, though, we are on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio. We're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Share the video.
Where all good podcasts.
Where all good podcasts are. Share the video. There's more to come. Go to our website. Again, that's www.thegrindhousepodcast.com. I'm still building it. We're still putting it up, but that's a great way to get in contact with us. Leave a like, leave a comment. I want to know what you guys are thinking.
Yeah, whatever you're thinking, we'll respond to them.
Absolutely. It's just
and on
us.
Facebook too. Did you mention that?
Oh yeah, go to our Facebook page.
Yeah, anything if you.
We're building a community. Yeah, this is the community for film fans. People who like film, like talking about it. This is a great place for you. So come on in, join us. I have been Cheese Film
and Hecubus,
and this has been the Grindhouse Podcast.
Oh, you wanted to say
I did want to.
I messed it up.